Hello, hello, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Submitted for Your Approval, the weekly card review show for Collective, the community-created card game. I'm Stranger Side. I am joined today by my co-host, Grief.
Howdy, folks.
I'm also joined by my regular panelist, Empty Folder.
Hello, everyone.
And today we are joined by a special guest in the form of Acoustic, now Realm Admin for Gemel. Well, de facto.
De facto, yeah.
It's going to be a thing eventually. We'll make it happen.
Soon.
Anyways, so let's get started with the accepted submissions, starting with Brushling. Been on the art sheet for a long time, folks. I'm so glad this Grief art finally made it into the collection. Brushling is a 1-drop spirit 1/1 plant from Entera with Life Bond, and the next time you gain 3+ HP, return this to play. So we have a Gain 3 card, guys. I really wanted to see Gain 3 make a comeback, and I'm so glad it has. This reminds me of sort of a functionally close to what Sweet Scent Kodama did before rotation. But instead of just getting it back once, if you can manage to pull off the life gain thing, you could get it back any number of times. And I think that's really interesting and really versatile. So cute art, cute design, and I really hope that this encourages some people to make some Game 3 stuff going forward. Grief, what do you think of this?
I think it's okay. It's technically a pseudo undead unit, considering that it is a gain life effect for plants. So yeah, it will probably see play. The life bond is pretty important on that body. If it really gets the entombed triggered that often is maybe questionable because it's a 1-drop 1/1. So in most cases, it probably will die before you actually get a 3 life, the 3 HP that you want to get for that entomb to actually be effective. So yeah, it's a neat idea, but probably a little bit clunky in practice.
Yeah, I agree. It remains to be seen. It's interesting how this kind of also fills a similar niche to Phytoslug, and that it basically serves as a swarm of blockers for a Game 3 deck. But I think this one is interesting and it may be a little bit pushed. I really enjoy it. I don't know. Empty, what do you think of this?
I think the power level is just fine. I think in a lot of instances, actually, this is going to be worse than Phytoslug because you only get value off it once it dies, so your opponent has to interact with it.
Yeah.
And some decks just aren't going to do that, especially not early game. Like, it's more redundancy for this type of effect. I think the Game 3 deck is just going to need more ways to actually gain 3 life since, like, they've lost some of them. But, like, having the payoffs in place for when those effects get in, I think is going to be good.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's always sort of generic ways to do it, just life on units and stuff, but it's nice to have ones like Spring Dew or whatever that specifically make sure to go ahead and trigger that.
I mean, yeah, the deck hasn't really even come close to recovering after it lost Pumpkinkin, because that was like the kind of overpowered payoff that the deck really relied on.
Acoustic, what do you think?
I don't think I have too much to add, but I'm gonna say this is another 1-drop for a deck. They don't have to rely on drawing Phytoslug on one, so that makes the deck a lot better. And then with the recent buff to Von Basil, that probably makes the card playable. Plants / Game 3 are actually getting like pretty close to actually being like usable. It probably need like a couple more cards to actually function, but and this is one step in that direction. So that's really cool, just getting more decks in the meta.
Yeah, I'm eager to see where it goes going forward. The Lizathep Necrophyte is a 2-drop spirit exclusive 1/3. Take a breath. Undead Lizabo Arcanist from Mirage with when an enemy dies, gain 1 XP and Herald 1. Awesome. Variable XP scaling. Probably get a couple procs off this guy if you're playing it right. Oddly enough, for those looking to play Shifter, this doesn't have a place in a Dunewalker deck because it's exclusive. Grief, what do you think of this card?
Funny enough that you actually mentioned Dunewalkers, because Lizatheps are basically designed to be an anti-Dunewalker faction. So yeah, them being mixable would be pretty questionable. On the other hand, this just plays right into any kind of mid-range undead grief filling deck that relies on either dueling, killing the enemies with incremental damage board wipes that Spirit is basically having pretty good access to just next to Mind. On the other hand, this is also pretty unique with its interaction with Grave Wraith, where you can actually mass board wipe and then reanimate the entire board again, triggering the XP and Herald effect. So this is actually pretty good because it's also then a pseudo fork, by the way, triggering then all the other potential good interactions that your undead deck has basically access to. So all in all, it is a pretty flexible and unique card that Spirit probably needed. And finally, Spirit Herald.
Yeah. No, I agree with that assessment entirely. This is potentially pretty nasty. Acoustic, what do you think?
There's not too much to this. This is just a solid, like, good stuff. Air card. I think this is going to see, and it's going to see like a good amount of play. The XP gain is really nice. Although spirit heroes don't have like the best level ups, like there are a couple of good ones, like Bullock in general has good ones. And I guess if you have a bunch of XP gain, you can get some level 4s, which are like pretty decent. The Herald, I don't think is going to be too relevant, but it's there. It's just a solid card that rewards me for what I'm probably going to already be doing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Is this going to see play in Daylings? Daylings do a lot of duelist and deadly, right?
Probably because like I kill her stuff. I gain XP. I'm heralding, I guess. It's a 2-drop that I can play on 2.
Yeah.
Which Daylings don't have a lot of those because you don't want to play Hunters on 2.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Empty, what do we think of this?
Yeah, I love that we're actually getting more XP gain cards. I think XP ramp decks can be really fun because they're one of like the few decks where you actually get to see the heroes level 4s, which doesn't happen often in a normal game. I think this will be sort of meta dependent. If there's a lot of decks that like their units dying or like go really wide, I think this will be quite strong. Like if oozes become meta or something, like they have a ton of unit depth.
I do like how this is also pretty considerate to like Hawkins because it does have the 3 tribes, at least 2 of which are
all
fairly
the tribes
relevant.
in there,
bro.
Yeah. So I appreciate the forethought that's put into that. Ooh, the Celestial Hatcher is an 8-drop Mind 7/6 Titan from HPL with Flying Ward and summon and start of the turn force play the lowest cost unit in your deck and give it +3/+3. I always get a little bit frustrated with these effects because it doesn't say random lowest cost unit, but that's just me being really, really annoying and mathy at people. Because sometimes the lowest cost unit in your deck is often not unique. But anyways, or first lowest cost unit. So yeah, this is cute. It is a good way to get out a bunch of stuff. Kind of different but similar niche a little bit to like what Simta does, and then it's just a good way to just get your board full. And it already has the flying, but this one has ward to top it off. And of course, it makes the small things large, which is always great. Empty, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I think this card has like a ton of potential for deck building. Because if you're running action spam and you're actually playing like no units, you can have this just pull out anything that you want. Like you can just run this and then one other unit, and if it pulls out itself, that is insane because next turn it adds ward, so it's hard to remove. Next turn you're making 2 of something, and like obviously if it pulls out another unit of your choosing, you can do something ridiculous like get out Kadar for free off this.
Yeah, so, this is sort of a pseudo or deck, I guess would be the way to put it.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
But you could also, of course, kit this out with stuff like one tool we didn't have that's really good for that kind of strat now is Door to Elsewhere, where you can make sure that all of your big drops are in your deck right? And forcibly shuffle them in. If you end up drawing into them, and then you could complement it with this, then you could get out a bunch of really big scary stuff. So yeah, I kind of feel bad that the clearly unit-based thing tends to really problem a deck that's not very unit-based, but it's whatever. Grief, what do you think of this?
I think that's probably the case for the card, because I don't really think that it is a card that was really unit-based to begin with, since it will just, in most cases where it is actually played, either be a supplement to decks that run stuff like Stomper, which reduces its cost to nearly 0 depending on your hand size. So this will just bring that back. Or, as MT rightfully pointed out, this will be a build a board card. Oh yeah, my lowest cost unit is 8, and funny enough, it's O. So okay, I will just fill my board with 3 O's. They will get buffed, and I will probably grab myself an Osh, because I have an extremely action-heavy deck anyways. So why not just cast my hand for free, by the way?
Yeah. Yeah, Ush.
Yeah.
Oh, it's magic.
Let's continue.
Go. Did I have you go already, Acoustic?
No, but I was pretty much gonna say what Grief already said is like you can do a thing similar to, or you can play he plays he plays Kadar or something. In Legacy you can do like Ophidia or something.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the first card that actually could make Ophidia playable, I cannot believe it.
Ophidia.
Ophidia.
Oh boy.
Yep.
That pun wasn't even terrible, I hate you.
It's not mine, so.
And then we're going to get feedback on this episode from Spike saying I intended it to be pronounced ooh or something.
Let's continue.
Yeah. Let's move past this one. Okay. Curse of Fortune is a 2-drop mind action from nowhere in particular with give allied units in tomb create a coin. So this is Bullfrog Buddies, but for action spams. No, not action spams. Arcanist, maybe. This is cute. Good way to get ramp out. Good way to turn tokens, to get a refund off of tokens played. I like this. Acoustic, what do you think of this?
I mean, this is just like a solid value card. Like if you're going wide, you get a bunch of free value when your stuff dies. Funnily enough, I think mine is like the worst affinity for this, because I don't know, like if mine really has like a good like go wide type strategy. Like I'm wondering like if Token Bulk resurges, you can throw this off affinity, and then you can use that to ramp out something. We just have like a full board. My stuff gets wiped. I have 10 coins that I can do something with.
I think the only real like aggro go wide strat is Dunewalkers. There might be more.
Yeah. They do actually go kind of wide. So.
Well, yeah, they have one attack, so they tend to do it in increments.
True. For some reason, I don't think that Dunewalkers go wide for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably throw us in that. And
yeah, the other thing you got to bear in mind is you have to have 2 units to get the amount you put in back, but you could also maybe do some strategic shenanigans to get it to ramp out a big threat instead, if you're more concerned with banking the mana, so to say. Empty, what do you think?
Yeah, I think like numbers wise, this is quite strong, but I'm struggling to think of a deck where this would fit immediately, because there are very few decks that have like that go wide strategy and also have stuff that you want to ramp into badly enough to run this. Because a lot of time in aggro decks, once you have a big enough board to play this, you're kind of already winning and you don't need the ramp anymore.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the other thing is like Dunewalkers basically finish their curve at like 5 if they're Legacy can finish their curve at like 5 if they're running Merrick. Otherwise, I don't even think you need to go past 4, whereas you get Assault, right? So
yeah,
there's kind of no real point in that. But I think this can find a home eventually. And there's always splashing. Grief, what do you think?
I think more of it as a KM/Ash card, because Ash could probably put bodies on the board that could benefit from an extra entomb effect. That just pseudo ramp you. Besides, KM does have the benefit of actually being able to splash multiple different affinities, slash unit types, and can adapt their game plan based on the scouting that they do by a level up. So maybe one scout allows you to benefit off of the ramping. Maybe it just helps you into establishing a better board presence, etc., etc. So it's overall a solid card that's which power level will be probably remain to be seen.
Yeah. I almost want to run this with find some way to run this in an off affinity deck with like Grave Rave. And just use that to just get a whole bunch of coins just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
Not because that's a good strat, just
Yeah.
because it's funny. Okay, now let's get into the most important part of the show, which is always the active submissions.
Yep.
Starting with Tiger Lily is a 5-drop strength 2/2 plant from nowhere in particular with entrance, choose and destroy units. So I actually really like this because what this basically is Ravenous Chupacabra from MTG, which I have a weird thing for certain like commons and uncommons throughout the game history, and that one's just near and dear to my heart because it's kind of like where you start to like think of like this is all a card needs to be. A removal on a stick with a 2/2 body is just great, and this also has entrance synergy potentially. So I really, really like it. I do love seeing Go Chris 10 back. We're so glad to have you back. I do think if you're going to pick a Tiger Lily, you could have gone with the orange Tiger Lily variety because those are pretty. But this is pretty as well, and I like what you're doing with it. Grief, what do you think of this?
It's Demon Heart on a stick.
Yeah. I don't really see why it's entrance because there's not a lot of ways to like choose it, but I guess there doesn't need to be.
It's basically the only reason why it's good.
Yeah.
Because it's an entrance instead of a summon. And I think we already have cards in the game that do basically similar things to this. We also just got Leviathan.
Yeah.
So this is just another unit in that regard that adds to that Demon Heart on a stick category of cards.
And I mean, this is definitely, I guess the entrance is really good in particular if you want to like choose it with Vile Nightmare or whatever it is that brings the unit back, flying agile, kill something. That's a lot of value for not a lot of mana. So I'm game. I'm game, definitely. Empty, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say. There's like fun little things you can do with the entrance, but I don't know. Like you do have to put a lot of work in. Like even the Vile Nightmare example you brought up, like you have to play this and have it die, and then like even then, 3-mana removal for hard removal is good. But it's not that good. So
yeah. What do you think, Acoustic?
I mean, like Red Reanimator, you Violet, you Old Arts it, you can True it. I'm pretty sure, because it'll die and then it'll come back and it'll blow something up. So just any of that Red Reanimator stick, like if we get more of those tools, this gets a lot better. Also, this is a plant in strength. I know we already have one of those, but this would be the second, which would bring us like one step closer to plant Baldwin.
That's an interesting opportunity. I'm game for it. I designed a strength plant a long time ago, and I wouldn't mind seeing it in or seeing us go that direction. Okay.
If Martial Promotion was still 1 mana, that would have been really fun. Oh well.
Yeah.
If Martial Promotion would still be in standard, you mean?
Hey, Class is never going to remove it from standard for some reason.
Banana Farm is a 2.
We rotated it out.
Oh, it finally happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Banana
That's
Farm
what
is a 2-drop neutral 0/3 place from Black Rift with can attack. And at the end of the turn, create 2 Rift-Ripe bananas in hand. What's a Rift-Ripe banana? Gives the unit +1/+1. If it's a monkey or non-native, give it +2/+2 instead. And that only costs 1 mana and is neutral. I don't need to tell you guys why I like this card, but I'm going to tell you something that I also thought of with this card. So I've been playing around trying to see if Black Rift could ever be a deck. And one of the weird ideas I was toying around with was if we eventually get non-native action support, Frictic would be maybe a good idea. And then I realized with this card, this gives you 2 really, really cheap actions turn after turn after turn after turn. So that's one thought. Probably not the best thought. Probably more single player jank. What I do think this does is prop up the Hyrillians, which are actually doing pretty good on the sub. Or this could just prop up a good token deck, give you a couple little buffs, extra buffs here and there. And maybe if we could find some more, or if you mix this in with some stuff that procs off action plays, maybe digging a little into the legacy pool if you're going to do this in single player. This is just a steady stream of actions, like the version of Flips who just wanted a steady stream of cards in hand. Empty, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I mean, it gives you pretty good value for a 2-mana card. Like, this can get pretty out of control if it's left unchecked. I think the main place it's going to find a home in is KM, obviously, because you just get free non-natives off your scouts.
Yeah.
It's infinite fuel for your active, because you're getting 2 tokens every turn. I think that has the potential to be very strong there. Because +2/+2, getting 2 of those every turn for 1 mana is no joke. Like, that adds up pretty quick.
And if we eventually do build a monkey deck, be it the Black Rift monkey or some other kind of monkey, this would be a great support card for that. It's a card that kind of tells you how to run it, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
Acoustic, what do you think?
I mean, the card gives you effectively better trusty blades, which is decent. Like it, I just getting cards, even if they're not like the best cards, is still pretty good, and like the body is like on curve for like a play, so like they have to use like the same amount to get rid of it. So like this is getting like a pretty good amount of value for the cost. I'm thinking, and of course, if monkeys become a thing, if non-natives become a thing, this becomes a lot stronger.
Yeah. What do you think, Grief?
Why aren't they food?
I don't know why they're not food. I didn't design this card. Actually, the Simian Citizen banana is not food for some reason. It's something we could cosmetic. But
it's consistent with other bananas.
Yeah, for some reason, bananas are not food. That's just collective lore. Bananas serve some other purpose. I don't know. I think it's a weird decision, but it's whatever.
Banana tribal.
Someone does need to go ahead and update Simian Citizen. Just put food on there. It doesn't need a feed effect, guys.
Exactly.
Any other comments?
Not really. I think everything has already been said about that card.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, obviously I have a big stake in designs like that, but I definitely wanted to point it out because I thought it was really clever, and just the work put into it just really made me smile. The Idle Contract is a 3-drop neutral artifact from Concierta with draw 2 cards, then discard a card. If you discarded a card that costs 4 or less, trigger its summon ability. So, and I really, really hope that Wujek and Spikebird and those involved do more with this. They're thinking about doing some Japanese style, quote unquote, pop idols for Concierta. And this is supposed to be sort of like, teasing at that. And I am super excited. They had a Polish one that was really, really just a beautiful piece by Plopka. I really hope a card gets on that soon. So thematically, Concierta is trying to do summon abilities for their singers. I think sing is summon, right? Yeah, because like Invoking Chant.
Yeah.
So summons or sing abilities, and then zone change is dance abilities. And so, yeah, that's why this kind of works. As is, it's a little sort of a side grade to like meticulous research, and I think this is good. This is interesting. Acoustic, what do you think of this?
All right, what do we want to hit with this? we can hit Sylphina with this, so that which slaps all the enemies for 1. I think Storage on just deletes something. And also since it's discards, you probably play some like Spectres too. What good 4-drops with summons are there? I haven't thought about this because I don't play the summon deck. But yeah, you play this in summons. You probably play this in Spectres because I'm pretty sure a lot of Spectres have like good summons too.
I mean, even a Spectre with a discard effect and an incidental summon is fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so this is actually like pretty. This is a lot more versatile than it may initially seem.
and one thing I do love about this, especially this is like Spikebird at its finest, because there was so much like care and love taken into the specific parts of the design. So if you look at the art credits and you see the arts in the background, and you see the text on the contract itself, and the joke on the flavor text, it's just very thoughtful and very funny, I think. Grief, what do you think of this?
This is a very powerful and interesting card. You've mentioned Spectres with incidental summon effects. Think about rebound units with incidental summon effect in general.
Oh yeah, with a rebound.
Yeah.
Because every card that has rebound, which is interesting in standard with Shifter, that also has a summon effect, now returns to hand due to either contract, because it's discarded, so it returns to the rebound effect, and you activated summon ability, and it only has to cost a maximum of 3 mana of affinity.
No.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so with Shifter, this could definitely create a really interesting game plan for summons, a really interesting tool for them.
I am pretty sure this card will see play in a plethora of decks because of its high versatility.
Yeah. And I mean, it's even just the 3 mana draw 2 cards, and it's not that bad. Even with just that, it's just good to have more. We don't have a lot of just straight draw effects in the game, so that's good.
We do not.
And this is straight enough. I mean, it's got a little bit of fluff on it. Empty, what do you think?
I love this card. I'm really glad that it looks like it's doing well on the sub. There's a good chance of getting in. One of the things that's really interesting that hasn't really been brought up is that this lets you trigger summon effects from the graveyard. So there's a card that got in recently called Storage Font, where it has a summon banish unit that costs 4 less.
Oh.
And when it leaves play, the unit comes back. But since it's already in the graveyard with this,
Yeah.
it'll just back.
It's adorable.
This is awesome. That's really fun. And then the other thing you can do is you can discard Phantom Pouncer with this, and it will duel something from your graveyard, and it's already dead, so you don't care if it dies.
Wait a second.
Really weird education.
Wait a second. What is with any kind of secluded refuge kind of card?
Yeah, this lets you be Marie without being Marie, basically.
Yep.
Or if you're Marie, like this is a great day to be Marie.
Value.
Right?
Wait a second. If you're Marie in Legacy, you could actually play this and for 3 draw Gluttony, or have Gluttony in hand, play pitch Gluttony. Your opponent has to sack a creature, you have to sack a unit, and Gluttony was put into the graveyard. You trigger your XP. This will be so good.
So yeah, this is actually a really good. This contract is sort of a love letter to people who are trying to get Marie going good. All these cards I've talked about so far, by the way, are like 16 plus on the sub. So be on the lookout. Start deck building, guys. Get on it.
Doing good.
The Charred Initiate is a 1-drop strength 1/2 go. How do you say it? Acoustic.
I pronounce it Goetian.
Goetian Arcanist from Gemel. With summon, shuffle 3 chars into the top 10 cards of your deck. What's a char, you ask? It's a 2 cost strength action from Gemel. With when played or banished from deck, deal 2 damage to the opponent and draw a card. So I was actually talking with Acoustic a little bit while he was designing this, and I wanted to see it go straight face damage. because I wanted us to be able to push this effect, where originally he had it do a bunch of choose windows with being able to pick units and whatnot. But I love that he did add draw a card. That was something he did after I did it. So yeah, congrats to you, Acoustic. You're right here. I want to see, I like how we figured out a way with Gemel to make their scour less intrusive, because I'm the kind of guy who hates losing my own resources for anything. I like to hold on and hoard all my resources. This just converts a scour effect that would throw my stuff into banish into a better resource.
Yep.
Of course, it does require some forethought, careful planning. And someone brought up on the Discord, and so I have to share Nitro's comment to the world. We have, folks, our first Eye of the Tyrant synergy.
Yep. For just 3 mana, you could deal 6 damage to your opponent and draw 3 cards.
And hold up, if you have the Void Phoenix, you can pay without a bond of 2 mana and also get a unit out of the deal.
Nope, no Phoenix is still unplayable, sir.
Grief, go. What do you think of this?
Oh god. Now I have to there fits so much into this car slaps on the cars in my head just because I'm seeing, because we also mentioned I have the tyrant is still unplayable, dudes. Just don't do it. Please use scour cards instead.
Yeah.
Good card, good 1-drop. Predictable outcome because it only shuffles into the top 3 cards of your deck. Yeah, sure, if you're very unlucky, it's the first 3 cards, but it's still a 2 mana deal to damage to the opponent's face and draw a card. I think there are worse cards that you could pull off the top in this case. All in all, very neat design. I don't really have anything more to add to this.
Yeah, so it's sitting at like 10. One thing I probably would have done, Acoustic, I now that I'm thinking about it, I think that draw card should have been moved to the body, and this should be like a second thing. I only think you should be able to draw if you played this from hand, personally. Because being able to like draw a whole bunch off of a scour effect is a little dicey, perhaps. That's maybe too much free value in terms of card advantage, but I understand why the draw was tacked on there, because when you're playing this from hand, you're actually kind of behind. That's just a thought. It could even go in an update if people really care. It's probably fine. Acoustic, talk to me about your process when designing this card.
Well, I was thinking, well, I'm making an archetype based around banishing stuff from deck, but you know, I kind of can't do stuff that I can't do cards that like innately do stuff when they're banished from deck because of stuff like a mirror match, and that kind of gets there's like mass deck banish ruins it. So I was like, what if I made a card that shuffled cards into your deck that wanted to be banished, and that was kind of the base idea for the design.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of ended up being like a 1-drop where I can play this, and then like a couple of turns later I can get value with like the scour cards.
I do like that approach. I think that's pretty good. Think this could be interesting from my perspective. I'm like, oh, this could be a potential non-native action synergy.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. MT, what do you think? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think this is very strong. Like from the Gemel cards I've seen so far, this looks like the reason you're gonna want to run a Gemel deck. Because if you're actually getting like the free draws and damage, this card can just output like ridiculous value for a 1-drop. Like 1-drop with deal 6 damage to your opponent and draw 3 cards over the next however many turns is very, very good. So
yeah, I do like how this is both a payoff and an engine, but it's not unreasonable. Like, because it's shuffled into the top 10, it has that random aspect to it. It's encouraging you to run other stuff with it. It's very well thought out. Just props to you, Acoustic. And the art is beautiful.
Thanks.
Probably took you a while, but I would like to see more arts from you in the future.
Yeah, yeah, it's only like a day pretty much.
Nobody's corn and can just do 8 arts a minute or whatever he does.
Yeah, no.
Garnet Gladiator
which.
is a 4-drop strength 1/7 robot from Mortstall, Realm of the Dead Things, with after an ally unit is damaged and survives, give it +1 attack and rage, deal 1 damage to all of the units. So what is this? This is potentially a potent rage enabler, one that's going to stay alive for a long time if you're, unless it just gets like hard removed, right? Because it's got that big 7 HP. And a way to potentially get them get you bigger damage output. I like these. There's been a handful of designs like this. There's a version of Vermilion Vanguard that never got in, where it was, and actually there's a Xandar card that does it too, that cares about any of your units getting damaged. And I think I like this whole blanket rage effect because it gives rage tools without having to make a bunch of like specific rage cards or even rage enablers to fill out the rest of their deck. It plays a role similar to what the Growlix do in tribal decks. And I really like this kind of design for that reason. Any sort of like shapeshifter. Yeah, this is really cool. Empty, what do you think of this?
I think it's pretty weak, actually. I mean, the problem is it starts out extremely weak. Like, your opponent can just ignore this. And a lot of the time, like, let's say your opponent plays a damaging board clear. This is just going to aid your opponent in clearing your board. Like, reg decks, you want to do damage to your units, but you don't want them to actually die from the damage. And a lot of time, that's what this is going to end up doing. It just scales too slowly as well. It reminds me a lot of like Snake Demon because that's the same stat line starting out.
So, but supposing you're running this in the existing rage shell, my Statistician probably got removed at this point. But let's say it lives. I get this thing down, Statistician it. I get the effect of a +1 attack board wide, and I guess +1 attack -1 HP. Yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you now that I'm mathing it out.
Yeah.
You've also lowered your Statistician to 1 health by doing that.
Yeah. So that's a little dicey, but I don't know if I really like the approach of everything being like, oh, I'm going to deal 1 damage and heal you to full, or deal 1 damage and give you 1 HP or whatever. So I don't really know how to fix stuff like that. It's a puzzle that isn't fully worked out, but I'm sure Cornmeal and apparently Sporium, who designed this card, will eventually work it out. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Not quite there. Grief, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a very double-edged. It's a pretty double-edged sword. It's very weak in terms of what it does. Sure, it's a very good reach enable, but all in all, it more or less helps your opponent more than you do. You're paying 4 mana for your opponent to get more reach.
Yeah. And it's weird because there's like cases where it's like a rage card you don't want to be playing against a rage deck, because if it has means to poke you, you're doomed.
The thing is, I think we're at the point where we really should move away from rage just getting stats for damage. Because your units cannot really do stuff when they are 5/2s that die to their 2-drops. And you've basically invested like 5 mana into your board. And all of them have miserable HP stats. They should probably do more utility stuff than hitting face, because rage units, yeah, sure, they could do combat, but you only just once. Because the next time they do, they may just get their rage effect, but overall they dejectedly shit.
Yeah.
This just enforces that gameplay style.
Dealing damage to face, or just convert it to free face damage. That's going to help me a lot more most of the time if I don't have a guaranteed way to get it through. Acoustic, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with everyone else is saying. This is kind of like in its current state, it doesn't do a whole lot for you. Like maybe if it was +2 attack, it would do something, but at the moment, yeah, this is just kind of like It's like at best it's like 4 mana to like buff my board a bit. At worst, it's 4 mana grief myself.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. The Solar Rager is a 4-drop strength 4/4 elemental from nowhere in particular. With Rage, Herald 3, give the topmost unit in your deck overrun. So Carissa is actually an old designer who's now back on the scene. The person responsible for absolute scaling, by the way. We talked about one of her designs earlier. So bringing Herald back into the spotlight, is this going to work out? MT, what do you think?
I think this actually can work out because it gives overrun.
Mm-hmm.
It makes the Herald actually matter, because one of the big issues with Herald is that raw stats aren't that good in collected. Chump blocking is really easy. So I think it could see some play. Like the Rage deck already does a lot of heralding, and they would kind of want the overrun. It is still a bit slow at 4, but man, it can get really scary.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has a home in the Rage deck. I think you can put it in there and be relatively happy with it.
Yeah, especially I guess if you're running the sort of enablers that let this hit something multiple times really fast, hopefully, before they die.
Yep.
Then I think if you can get the full, I mean, what is the nuts with this is getting the full 12 off of it. Probably never going to happen, but if it does, that's very visceral. That you really feel that in your bones when that happens.
Yeah, Sabtician in Rage decks could happen.
Yeah, if your Statistician gets permission to live this turn.
I suppose.
Acoustic, what do you think?
I mean, like, as some people in this community say, Herald is an inherently weak mechanic.
There's
and
only
overrun,
one person who says inherently blank blank.
Yeah. but yes, as Empty said, the Herald giving overrun makes the Herald a lot more valuable, and then this being Rage allows you to rack a bunch in the same turn. So like you can get a bunch of Herald on the same guy, and you have like this big dude overrun, and if he has like Agile or something, or if you wait to like ready me, you can just like hit the board, and it's like this big threat that they just have to deal with. And then of course this is like good Rage card. You can ping it heralds and stuff.
What do you think, Grief?
It's actually a decent Herald card or decent Rage card, but Rage more or less in a different manner, because let's be honest, if you're not building a Rage deck with this unit, it's probably a mid-range deck, and at that point you're buffing a mid-range unit to be a bigger by +3/+3 and giving it overrun, while having a 4/4 beater on the board that has a pseudo entomb. That if you're not killing it in combat with the first instance, then at least in the second one. At that point, oh yeah, I might have just given my opponent either its +6/+6 unit with overrun, or 2 units with +3/+3 and overrun, which are mid-range units that can curve after it.
Yeah.
So overall, this is a very solid design, and I like that it is actually able to do combat pretty efficiently in terms of its Rage payoff. Because you don't really need to fixate yourself on, oh yeah, let's put incremental points of damage on this unit, so it will actually have a payoff. But no, okay, it died. Okay, I just got a minor buff, but it's still worth it due to the overrun on the next unit.
Yeah.
Overall, very solid design.
That Which Gazes is a 1-drop mind 1/2 horror from Aesthetica. With whenever a unit is banished from play, this gets +2/+0 permanently. So Aesthetica, for a long time, its identity was there was a lot of entrances. Entrances was a big thing with it. And so how do you make entrance matters? Well, it already matters about as much as Summon does, but you also have to maybe give it tools like Flicker. And so we've had stuff like Banishing Act, or you can bounce it into another zone temporarily. But Banish is a good candidate. And so we've seen it do the banish flicker effects, and this is basically a 1-drop for them, which encourages you to do the whole banish flicker effect. I think that's interesting. I think it kind of veers off from what I perceive Aesthetica to be, but it could be possibly a new direction for them going forward. Of course, currently the admin situation with Aesthetica is a little dicey.
Yeah.
But I think Chris did the realm justice with this. I'm just a little bit curious as to kind of like what's this is going to be ran in going forward. Empty, what do you think?
Currently, nothing. But I would love to see this have a deck, because this is a really cool idea.
Yeah, it's sitting at like 1, and I could see that seems about where I expected it. Because I also, even me, it's someone who used to do, actually Aesthetica was the first realm I fell in love with in Collective. Even with that, I don't think I'd really run this.
And I think like standard wise, like, I mean, I've never really seen it take off. It's kind of just been king combos has been like the main decks that actually run cards from the realm.
Well, just right after Steam release, because Ash had a starter deck based around it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So most new folks actually gravitated towards the Echo Burn playstyle that was very heavily established with Aesthetica. Funny enough, that also drove quite a few people away.
Well, they like to leave and come back, but they don't necessarily like to go into banish.
And no, I mean right after Steam release.
Oh, so I was just talking about the effect.
Yeah.
We do have 10k Palm. We have something that and we have Outrider. So we do have ways to proc this, but not a whole lot.
Not enough.
Not enough.
No.
Yeah.
Grief, what do you think?
I want to like this card.
Same.
It has a good core idea. Maybe I would like it more if it would care about banishing in general, so you could actually have more flexibility in its applications. So you could run it in a red-blue deck that also scours a lot, or would mind cards that, like in Legacy, Swine Prince that scours for 4, and so on and so forth.
What?
You could also then combo it with the banishing effects that Spirit has to be as pseudo removals. But yeah.
What's the Scour gonna do?
You're saying if you made it a general banish, I'm guessing.
Exact.
Oh.
I said when this would be if this would be a general banish effect, then there would be more applications for this card.
Yeah, I guess.
It would probably need to be like a +1/+0 or something, and probably from Gemel at that point. I mean, why not?
Well, we'd make it strength at that point.
Well, it would just fit in better with. I think it fits better with other. I don't think the realm identity here is right.
Yeah, no.
But with stuff that's other realms that are caring a lot about banish. I also like horror from Aesthetica. There's a couple flavor issues with this.
To be honest, I would have been probably more lore-wise or flavor-wise, I would have probably been more inclined with it if this would be a horror virus or horror program or something like that, because then you could actually get a cyber feeling out of it. But like that, yeah, I know what you mean. Like even robot horror, I would have been fine with it.
Yeah, the flavor's a little bit off, but I think that's rectifiable. I think the easiest thing would just be turn it strength, go from Gemel, make it a general banish. Just really easy.
To be honest, make it neutral.
Or make it neutral. Yeah, make it neutral.
Yeah, neutral.
Banish doesn't care. Scouring Orb is like the. But I do think if we did that, it would need to go to a +1/+0 because it's very easy to banish a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but it still only cares about humans.
Yeah. Oh, whenever you. Oh, that would be a thought. Maybe then it could be +2/+0. I'll give it to you. Acoustic, what do you think?
Yeah, like in its current state, the only card that it's really synergizes with is Tenkai Palm, because Outrider, because you're only going to play Outrider if Neons exist, and Neons don't exist, so Outrider by extension doesn't exist, and Tenkai Palm is the only banish thing that's actually just like a good unit on its own. So like, so I'm running this so I'm running this 1-drop, so it synergizes with this other 1-drop. I don't get the point mechanically currently, and I don't really get the flavor for it. I don't get why this incomprehensible thing is getting attack when my units get banished.
Yeah.
And why is it? And again, why is it a horror from Aesthetica? I don't get it.
Oh, but I mean, playing a 1-drop to synergize with my 1-drop, that's just what aggro is. That's what aggro with above average synergy is, should clarify.
Well, let's see.
Well, let's move on. I think we all set our mind on
next.
this.
Yeah. The Lucid Dream is a 4-drop mind vision from nowhere in particular with draw 4 cards and discard 3. We were just talking about draw effects. Draw effects, guys. Great show.
So anxiety attack is back on the menu, I suppose, or am I mistaken?
Yep, pretty much.
I mean, if you're willing to pay 4 mana for anxiety attack, then yes.
I guess I need to ask Empty why he selected this card before I let Grief talk.
New player design.
Yeah.
I like anxiety attack. I want it back in standard. Feedback. I like anxiety attack. It's a good effect. Not worth 4 mana in this instance.
Also, this could go to Hallucinogenica just fine. Maybe needs to copy a tribe from there so we don't have too much tribes running around, but illusion.
Dream. Nightmare.
Also, if you are also both the creator and the artist, these 2 lines should match. This says who created the card. This says who drew the card. I think that's the name of the piece. Or I think that could just be words. I don't know. Grief, what do you think?
I like this a lot, funny enough. Because, yeah, sure, it is anxiety attack, just bigger. But the most important part is the discard 3 in this case. It's a pseudo mill / pseudo discard support card. Because the moment you actually go into the spheres of extreme high amounts of discarding or pseudo milling, it's all about the targets that you want to get rid of and less about the targets that you draw.
Especially because this is the kind of game where you can do stuff with like prototypes and just gonna mass production, wheel away my protos or something like that. Or chronic off discard effects.
The thing is, it's probably more of the discard effects / grave source playstyle where you want to pitch resources into the graveyard, and this is for 4 mana. Dig for 4 cards deeper. If you don't find anything, you have at least your discard targets in hand.
You know what this needs, actually? And here's another realm candidate. This can be from either Hallucinogenica or Degenesis, and it needs Chroma Spirit.
Yep.
And it's a bigger Altered Memories.
Yeah.
Is what it needs.
Degenesis, yeah, makes sense.
Or Hallucinogenica or something.
Yep.
But I do think it needs the if you are spirit, so is this text.
To be honest,
that would really
if
help
this
it
card
along.
gets in, we could just slap Chroma on it as an update and perfect card.
Yeah. It's a perfectly fine, clean common, but there's still a little bit more that could be done with it to polish it. It's not, I don't know. Empty, do you have anything else to say or no?
No.
Acoustic, do you have anything else to say or no?
I like it should have Chroma Spirit on it. I wasn't around when an anxiety attack was in standard, so I don't know how to feel about this. Like all I know is that is that in like the Legacy League, anxiety attack is restricted, though although it's probably more like Wisp of Hope and Ravaging Spirit type deal rather than
it's not on a restricted list anymore.
Oh, okay, never mind that.
But it was good back in the day.
Okay,
it is still good. It is still good, but I restricted for the.
Okay.
Let's talk about it at the end of the show.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah, we got to kind of get moving along. Doctor,
Yep.
and here's a block of text to help me along. Dr. Doomsday is a 5-drop strength 4/7 robot tuned supervillain from Karachar, legendary. With after attackers are declared, this deals 1 damage to all attacking enemy units. End of turn, if you have played 4 or more 5+ attack units this game, create Doominator, then lose this ability. The Doominator is a 10-drop, not that it matters, 10/10, giant robot tune. Agile, overrun, immortal. When this attacks, deal 2 damage to all enemies. So,
blocks.
Sporium being Sporium, right? I have no further comments until you guys talk. Acoustic, you start.
Well, this is Sporium on his way to make another 5-drop legendary. It does something big and big and like bombastic and stuff. Like Dr. Doomsday himself is like a pretty solid unit. Like he's just like he's like a okay body, and he kind of disincentivizes certain units from attacking, and then he has like a built-in win con, quote unquote. So he's neat.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think he maybe plays into like the strength control thing going forward a little bit of a sort. He wants sort of a mid-rangey type thing, get a bunch of units that are fairly big, but he also wants to keep things off his back, and so it's interesting. Pretty solid anti-aggro tech, in my opinion, that first ability. Empty, what do you think of this?
I really like the idea behind this card. I mean, it's basically like a mini quest throughout the game, where you're like trying to get 4, 5+ attack units in order to get off your big, fancy, over-the-top win condition with Dr. Doomsday. I think it's a really neat design. I'm not sure about the numbers. I feel like this is the type of card where I'd have to bring it in and like actually test it to see how good it is, because like you're building your whole deck around this thing.
Those aren't the real numbers. Those are Sporium numbers. It's a whole different number system. No. Grief, go.
Okay, does this count everywhere?
I think that this game is meant to imply everywhere, but
Yeah.
Legendary, you only get so much space. Funny enough, because that's already the most space we get, so that cannot even fit that kind of description. It is kind of hilarious.
Well, it's a legendary, so he had the box space. Really, you should have just tried harder.
Okay, let's be honest. If this is everywhere, 4 units is very little. For a card that says, okay, can you remove me until end of turn?
Yeah.
If not, deal with my fuck off 10/10 unit next turn. If you cannot get rid of that thing, oh shite, sorry, I'm going to run over your board, pseudo frenzy your entire board for 2 damage before I do overrun damage. And if you didn't even manage to actually bounce that unit and discard it, because that's, I think, the only way to get rid of immortal units, then you're shit out of luck.
I mean, the Doominator is 10 mana.
Yeah, so then getting it back out is going to be a task in and of itself. I think it's hilarious. Originally, he put ambush on this thing, which I thought was hilarious.
The thing
is,
though,
it's the point of his own card. I'm like, no, agile. I don't even know why the ability triggers with blocking. It's like, that's not what this card is for.
I think I know.
The funniest thing about it is...
Wait, I want to hear Empty's explanation real quick.
Okay.
Oh, well, this sort of wears its inspiration on its sleeve. It's very similar to a card from LOR. And the text on the Doominator matches a card in LOR with the attack and blocking thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The Sandra, I guess.
It's the crocodile.
Yes. The Doominator is the crocodile, and then like Doomsday's condition is similar to Lysandra.
Yeah.
Okay. We want to keep moving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Fortuno's Proposition is a 2-drop mind exclusive action from Wonder Star Casino. Draw Fortuno. If this moves from Fortuno's sleeve, or if you control Fortuno, draw 2 cards instead. Fortuno and the House of Fortuno sleeve are cards that already exist in the collection. So personally, my only gripes about this card are I don't think we should have effects that reference specific name like this. I like to minimize them wherever possible. Some people think they're fine. I just think it doesn't encourage really creative deck building. And so it's really a personal gripe. So I have to kind of step back and let you guys do the talking. Acoustic, I'll let you start.
I mean, like I picked this because of course if it got in, it would be the first card that like specifically references like another specific card. I'm pretty sure, which is
non-token.
Yeah, like a card you can put into your deck that you can just draw a specific card. So it lets you draw Fortuno of the House or the old Fortuno if you want to run the old Fortuno for any conceivable reason, which I don't think there is any. But you tutor Fortuno of the House, which lets you play Fortuno, and then like if this card gets sleeved, you can play it for 3 mana to draw 2 cards in our Fortuno, or if you already control him, you don't need to play him from the sleeve to do that. Like it's a solid card for any deck that would run Fortuno, which now that it got buffed to 5 mana, like maybe it can be like an aggro top ender or something. And
yeah,
or maybe
Grief,
if
what
my
do you think?
This, you said this doesn't promote creative deck building, which is funny because it actually does, because at that point you actually try to figure out how to fit those engines in, how to enable the deck, how can you actually build around the Fortuno kind of deck. Because at that point, we break away from the, okay, this is my aggro shell, this is my mid-range shell, and I have these and these and these engines / wincon. This is a card that basically wears on its sleeve, I want to be in a Fortuno deck. How can you build that? How can you maximize my impact? And with such cards, sure, it may sound weird, but technically with more cards in that vein, they actually help people to branch off of their pre-existing ideas when it comes to deck building and help them actually allow to find out new avenues because, oh yeah, this card references a specific card. What does that card do? Oh, okay. With these 2 cards, I have maybe an idea how to build a deck. And let's be honest, not every person under the sun, especially when it comes to card games, is a good deck builder. Most aren't. Most don't get the principles or basics down. These help them guide them into these directions.
Yeah, I see your stance. It's just, I guess personally, my thought is I don't want anyone, you don't get to tell me what to do, Mom. Like certain cards that like tell me you must run this with this, turns me off. To some people, it's a draw, and you're right that it does help specifically like newer players get an idea of how to deck build.
The thing is, it's not even that correct because it's still just a card that completely functions without it. You just gain benefits from running a specific card.
Yeah. Empty, what do you think?
I like the card. It adds consistency to Fortuno, and I want to build a Fortuno deck. It looks like it could be fun.
Yeah.
The issue is it's exclusive, and I think Fortuno is best in KM still. Which makes me a bit sad because I want to build a KM Fortuno deck. Yeah, I know why it's exclusive because KM can't get anything.
No, it got updated. I changed how the sleeve works. So if you banish the sleeve, it goes away, and so it's no longer exclusive if it'll come on a card.
Yeah, I mean it's great. Fortuno is not exclusive anymore. I love that, but let me draw him in KM.
KM bad.
Oh, come
Reckless
on.
Experimenter is a bird it's a bird skull facing forward. I had problems with it, now you don't, hopefully. Reckless Experimenter is a 1-drop mind 1/1 Chrono Scientist from Xandar with fast and summon, ready a unit before combat, exhaust it. So this is a little guy at a speaker station. So this is building up the Chrono, which is the bird faction of Xandar. They've been struggling a little bit with their identity. A lot of different iterations have been tried in the past. This is the current one. Empty, go.
It's like the opposite of the lunatic dancer archetype that exhausts units before combat. Really interesting. I think it may be a little bit weak. I mean, there's the main thing. It's a 1-drop you don't want to play on turn 1. There's always going to be a bit of a downside. But like you could run this in some sort of active deck, although like that's never really taken off, but we do have some payoffs for it. It's a really neat idea. I'm just not sure if the power level is right. I think I would make it a 1-2.
Yeah, you can also use this to exhaust your opponent, like non-duelist, non-active units, which is cool.
Yeah.
Acoustic, go.
Oh yeah, I think about yeah. You can use this on enemy units as well. I think that this is a neat way to try and like kind of get people to care about actives by just making like a payoff for them, or just hey, I have my guy that uses an active. I can play this guy on the other guy. Can use the active again. There are some good units with actives that are being run. I mean, like Doomwalkers has Airy, and if I can use my Airy twice, if I can use my Airy actives twice in the same round, that's really good. And then like, I don't know how the interaction works, but if it works the way I hope it does, the Airy will ready herself first, both after the exhaust, so she'll be ready to be able to do combat stuff even after doing like 2 actives, and both of her actives are pretty good. And I think there's like, is there another Doomwalker with an active besides Rogue? I don't think there is.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a lot in that deck, sadly.
But the Ares synergy seems fun.
Yeah, the only thing I would really want to do with this right now, knowing what I know, is like use this to get another proc on Dama, but I'd be paying off affinity for that, and it's not worth it. I honestly think the versatility being able to use it on your opponent is pretty crucial.
Yeah.
Brief, what do you think?
I wish this card would be neutral.
Same for Damo, for me, but you probably have better reasons.
Duelist. Just fit
Duelist.
it into any kind of duelist-centric deck. Into active methods, sure. It is a good pseudo removal for combat situations where you exhaust the card so you cannot attack or block during that combat situation. But Spirit would love this kind of effect for both its duelist and the combat aspect as pseudo removal. Outside of that, I so much felt the comment when you said, yeah, it's a bird skull facing forward, standing, because there's a third artwork that looks like this.
Yeah.
I know it's not a bird skull with the other two, but it's a skull facing forward.
It's still skull man facing
we already
forward.
had this talk with Magneter.
Yeah.
I was just making sure people were able to interpret the art, because that's the first thing I had problems with. And that's okay. He's got a pixelated style, and he's trying really, really hard. He's got some pieces that look beautiful. Blue Cheese is like high art in my mind. I really, really like that he's bringing pixel art to collective. It's just some of these pieces are a little hard to read.
Overall, it's a neat card, but I hoped it would be neutral, so it would actually be more flexible and would be used for cases it should be used for.
Yeah. Skeleton Appreciator is a 3-drop neutral 2/4 human bard cultist from Concierta with summon. Give all units in your graveyard. When this changes zones, create an appreciated skeleton. What's that, you ask? It is a 1-drop neutral 1/1 undead bard cultist from Concierta. So it's Concierta because it's a song reference. It's a really good song. Y'all should check it out. But so what do I think about this? I think, and someone's going to tell me I'm probably wrong, the appreciated skeletons could afford to be a little bit bigger, couldn't they? Like, I feel like just getting a whole bunch of 1/1s when I'm already doing all the work to move something out of my graveyard, it's a little much, but then again, I guess there are easy ways to cheese this in like a...
I mean, like, they're free. They're cultists. You can do polyphony stuff with it.
Yeah. But they're going to die as soon as they hit the board. I wanted to make something with... I wanted to make a reskin clattering skeleton, basically. That's what I want, but...
Have you forgotten the terror of Vigorous Maw?
He doesn't go away.
I never
That-
perceived the terror of Vigorous Maw. I liked Vigorous Maw.
You
I'm a
are
single
I-
player
the thing is-
player.
The thing is,
Heresy.
I also liked Vigorous more. It was a little overstated by
Yeah.
a lot, but still, it was a cool card.
Yeah.
Now it's pretty shit.
Grief, what do you think?
Well, that's because no one wants to design undeads because it exists.
That's a stupid reason, but I would know. I know it. The thing is, yeah, people just think about, oh yeah, cards coming back from graveyard to play or to hand. Have you actually considered just banishing cards out
Yeah.
right out from the graveyard? I mean, that's probably the easiest thing in Spirit to do. We have an entire Spectre archetype that allows that to happen. Also, cards that guarantee benefits if you banish cards from your graveyard, especially units. So it isn't really that bad. It's just it helps out non-native.
Yeah! I win!
For once, the Stranger
Card is
Side
definitely-
wasn't the first one to bring it up.
To be honest, this is one of the first guys where I say, oh yeah, non-native support makes sense in this aspect. Overall, cute card. That it's neutral
Yeah.
helps it a lot because you can actually do some silly stuff with it. How this token generation or the manipulation of your graveyard will turn out for this card and specifically for the decks that you want to play it in remains to be seen, but it would be a cute addition to your card pool.
Do you agree with me that the appreciated skeletons need a stat point? At least one?
Yes and no. I mean, they're basically in a position where, depending on what you do, or it's funny enough, it's a pretty cute worky counter towards stuff like what was the card again that stole the graveyard from the opponent?
Over Otherworld Journey? Or
Journey of the Dead.
Journey of the Dead.
Journey of the Dead. Yeah, okay. I have this dude on the board. My opponent cannot really journey my graveyard, or else I build a board.
Empty, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's good. Actually, like when I first looked at this card, I was like, "Oh, Undead Synergy is permanent." No, the buff is not permanent, which is a big deal because it means you can't farm the skeletons off Big Maw. Which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty well balanced. Like there's
Limit one
really some neat
skeleton
stuff
per
in it.
unit, Empty.
What?
Hey, you can
You
get
have a
two.
maximum of one skeleton.
You can get two. When it comes into play, you get the skeleton, and then when it leaves, you get it. You get
Yeah.
two.
Does it work like that?
Well, yeah. I mean, the buff doesn't go away until it leaves play.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
2 skeletons per unit.
Yeah,
Yeah, Big Maw,
I don't
you
vibe
can
with
get your
that,
two
man.
skeletons.
So much skeletons fit into this bad boy slaps on a car roof.
Acoustic, what do you think?
I mean, this is just like a funny card in my opinion. Yeah. You have the cultist angle where I can get like 3 mana Kadar or something. There's a non-native because like, hey, these skeletons are a lot better when they're 3/3s. Undead, I guess if you want to even deck build with the Hellspawn that is Vigorous Maw, bards get a bunch of fireballs. Or is that when you play?
I think that's entrance.
Whatever. But if it does work the way I think it does, then you can Pyromancer for fireballs, and you can do fireball stuff with it. Like this, it's a lot of stuff that I think about. This is neat.
Yeah. So I have an announcement to make, guys. Submitted for your approval is launching a hosted event, but it's not a tournament. It's not a league. It is a design competition. I built all the rules, all the fun stuff. I I am going to post about it, but not in the description section, and here's why. This is going to engage the Discord. If you are not on the Discord, join the Discord. If you're just on the Reddit, join the Discord. Come on, guys. That's where we do a lot of our stuff, and it's absolutely necessary for the structure of this. So I will do a Reddit post about it, so just go on the Reddit. But all of the activity is going to rely on you already being a member of the Discord. What is the competition? A lot of players struggle with getting arts on cards or thinking of designs for these cool arts they think of. Some people want help on their realms, or some people just want other people to take an interest in what they're doing. So I am allowing any player, whether you are participating in the competition or not, to come up with certain design challenges. Each one will be ranked between 1 and 10 points by yours truly. And then upon completing the challenge and submitting the card to the Reddit, you will get points. Whoever has the most points at the end of the month will get prizes. Top prize is going to include a pendant pass, which means every card in the game ever is yours. New cards will automatically be yours. And also on top of that, 3,000 amber. Second prize, 2,000 amber. Third prize, 1,000 amber. So everyone can participate, even if you're not competing. I encourage you to compete, and good prizes if you win. So thank you, everyone, for being on the show. I hope you really enjoyed it. I know I did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Remind me why I'm doing this. And thank you very much. Keep playing collective and keep voting on cards. Bye.
See you.